Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today I am showing you all of my TBR veterans. So I have this hench stack, which is so heavy I'm going to put it down. So I have that huge stack of books that are on my shelves that I have not put in storage that I have still not read yet. And this is not any book that I have bought recently in the past year. All of these books have been sat on my shelf at least 2 years, I think, minimum 2 years on my shelf, and I haven't read them. So let's just get straight into them. So the first set of books I've got are by Frances Hardinge, and I got these as a set of 3 from an online book retailer. Basically, when I went to uni, we got like a voucher for books in our final year instead of them giving us the physical books, so we could just buy the books that we needed to buy. And by the end of the year I had only bought 1 book, so I had like a decent amount of money to just spend on books. So I got a load of self-help books and some fiction as well, and these were in them. I have not read any of them. I think I started to read The Cuckoo Song. Oh, just Cuckoo Song, sorry, there's no there. I started to read this a while ago. Got a couple of pages in, then stopped. Really am interested in all 3. I don't really know an awful lot about any of them. I know they're all a bit quirky and a bit weird. I know this one, we're following a girl called Tris, and she wakes up after an accident and she just can sense that something is wrong. And I got to that point and yeah, I don't know what happens or why she feels wrong. I'm not too sure. I also have Fly by Night, which says everybody knew that books were dangerous. Read the wrong book, it was said, and the words crawled around your brain on black legs and drove you mad. That sounds pretty cool. And the other one that I've got is The Library, which is the one that I actually knew before I bought all 3 of these books, and this is the one that won her the Costa Book Award. And this one says it was not enough, all knowledge, any knowledge, called to faith, and there was a delicious poisonous pleasure in stealing it unseen. I don't really know masses about any of these, but I really am looking forward to reading them. Maybe I should do the whole these books will self-destruct in 12 months, because there's quite a few here. The next one I've got is, I'm only holding up book 1, but I've got book 1 and book 2 on my shelves, but none of the others. This is The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Brecken. Again, a book I started to read but stopped. I got this when I was in my final year of uni, I think, and it sounds really cool. So in this book, it is a dystopian. It says Ruby is 16 and she is dangerous and she is alive for now. A mysterious disease has killed most of America's children. Ruby might have survived, but she and the others have emerged with something far worse than a virus. Frightening abilities they cannot control. Pressured by the government, Ruby's parents send her to Thurmond, a brutal state rehabilitation camp, where she has learnt to suppress her new power. But what if mastering it is a whole generation's only chance for survival? That's the blurb that I read when I picked it up, and I really like the sound of it. I believe these were on the buy one get one half price when I bought them. That's why I got the first and the second book, to try the series, because I used to be really good at starting a series, picking up the first book and then carrying it on. That's not me anymore. That is old me. But yes, so this series sounded really good. I want to get to it. I really wish I had already got to it, but alas, it is on this list, and it has been, I finished uni many years ago now, so yeah, there's that. The next book on my list is Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adeyemi. I have the first and the second. I believe this is only a duology. I have both books in this series sat on my shelf. The other one is up there, you can't see it, and they're both the Waterstones exclusives. I bought these, actually, yeah, I've still got the receipt in this. I bought this on the 10th of November 2018. Wow. So well over 2 years now that this has been on my shelves, and I'm still yet to pick it up. I really want to pick it up. I keep putting it on TBRs, like in my head, and then it just never makes it to me actually reading it. So hopefully at some point soon I can actually get to it. This is actually a little bit embarrassing. Another popular book that I'm yet to read but has been sat on my shelves since it came out is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I have got Rule of Wolves currently in my Waterstones basket waiting for me to press buy, which I'm still yet to do, but There we go. So obviously this is the first one in the King of Scars duology. It is set within the Grishaverse, but we are following Nikolai, who is the king of the Grisha, or the king of where Grisha come from. Can you tell? I haven't read it yet. And I believe Zoya is also in this, and Nina as well, but I'm not too sure why Nina's in this. I am looking forward to reading it. I am really interested in learning more about Nikolai and Zoya and stuff. I have only read Six of Crows, Cookie Kingdom and Shadow and Bone. I have not finished the Grishaverse trilogy. Obviously I haven't started this yet either, so I need to catch up a little bit. I'm really hoping I can do that this year. Fingers crossed, but I'm not actually putting any pressure on myself because that could not happen. This could sit on my shelf for another couple of years before I even read it, but I'm hoping that is not the case. Oh my goodness, I'm hoping that's not the case. I cannot wait to get to this. I'm going to say that a lot about these books. I think it's just one of those where I'm like, I can't wait to get to them, but then new books come in or I find other books and then I get distracted. I'm very easily distracted as a human. That's just me. The next book is the only non-fiction that I've actually included in this list, purely because I do have quite a few non-fiction books that I haven't read yet, a couple being autobiographies and a couple being self-help books, but I haven't added them. Some of them are in storage, but a lot of my self-help books are ones that I need to read when I'm in that mindset, so I'm not really pushing myself. Also, they look really good as coffee table books. It looks like you got your life together. I'm not gonna lie, but the only non-fiction on this list is this one, which is The Time in Between by Nancy Tucker. So this is a memoir that she has written, and it is about herself when she was going through her eating disorder. So I found this in a book warehouse kind of thing. It is called Book Club 66, the one that I went to. It's down south somewhere. I really liked it. I want to go back. I want to take my friend and I want to go back to it. I think it'd be quite good, but I found this and it just sounded so hard-hitting that I wanted to read it. So the front little things are from Guardian and Jacqueline Wilson, who was my childhood favourite author, and the Guardian have said, stylish and incisive, she weaves her tale of fear and food, confusion and calories grippingly and with skill. And then Jacqueline Wilson said, this isn't just another anorexia misery memoir, it's a work of literature. And that's why I kind of picked it up, because of the two comments on the front. I'm just going to read you what the back says because it's quite interesting. I want to shine and I want to be invisible and I want to be myself and I want to be anyone else in the world, and in the end I think the only solution is to get smaller and smaller and then one day to disappear. Through her teenage years, in thrall to eating disorders, Nancy Tucker did almost manage to disappear. From the bleak reality of her body breaking down to the electric mental highs of starvation, the time in between is the poignant and unforgettable. The memoir of a young woman, now 22, who against all odds insists on soaring. I think I also picked this up when I wasn't far off 22. I might have been 21 when I picked it up, so I was just like, well, you're about my age, like maybe I can relate to some of what you're saying. So there's that. I also have this book that has been on my shelf for ages, and it was a movie buy, because the movie came out when I discovered the book and I was like, oh well, because I am one of those people, I need to read the book before I see the movie, otherwise I'll never read the book and I won't know how it's meant to be. So this was one of them, and that is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. But this is obviously a very well-known movie. I don't know if anyone else has watched it. I still have yet to watch it because I still want to read the book. So in this book we're following a young boy called August, who is born with a facial difference, and up until now he hasn't actually been able to go to mainstream school. So he goes to school and he starts in 5th grade, which is probably about year 5 for us here in the UK, and it's just his point of view of how he gets through that change. And then also apparently, because I looked it up on Goodreads, because it doesn't actually say a blurb on the back, but apparently on Goodreads it then proceeds to swap to how his classmates' point of view, his sisters and someone else's. So I just think it would be really, really interesting. And I love the front. You can't blend in when you're born to stand out. Like, so good. I really want to read this. I'm not sure when I'd be able to get around to watching the film. Hopefully one day, like I think maybe, but for now I just want to concentrate on getting the book read. That's my main thing. And the final first book in a series that I have to include in this list of shame is Contagion by Terry. And again, this was one of the books that I managed to buy when I had leftover uni money for books, and I got all 3 of this. So this is a trilogy, and it basically says Callie is missing, her brother Kai is losing hope of ever seeing her again. Then he meets Shay, a girl who saw Callie the day she disappeared, and his hope is reignited. Their search leads them to the heart of a terrifying epidemic that is raging through the country. Can Kai and Shay escape death and find Callie? So this is the reason I haven't read it yet. So I was contemplating starting this last year when I had loads of time, but obviously the mention of there being a pandemic, or an epidemic even, I was like, maybe that's a bit too close to home. Maybe I don't want to read that yet. Now the world is hopefully going a bit more back to normal, I will be able to brave this book and get it read and actually get the series started, because if I don't like it, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna hate myself for not starting it. I believe it's YA, so it might be a little young for me depending on how it's written. It does say Contagion is the brand new thriller from the author of international sensation Slated. I also haven't read Slated, but I have seen these covers around a lot. It's just this one here. I have seen them in like Waterstones and stuff, which is quite cool, but I haven't read any of her other books. So yeah, I just want to know if I like this. And then if I do, I'll read the series, and if I don't, I'll donate it to charity. Same as all these books. Right, I have 4 more books left, and they are all parts of series. So let's go. So the first book is the final book in a trilogy, and that is Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. So this is the first Law trilogy. I have read the first book, I have read half of the second book, and I haven't even touched the third book. And they've been on my shelves before I went to uni, I believe, and I really enjoyed the first one. I remember actually really liking it, and I think because the second book kind of suffers from middle book syndrome, which I seem to think for a lot of trilogies. The second book, from what I remember, was a lot of travelling, so I think that's why I put it down. Like, there wasn't as much action, and there was a lot of like learning new things, and because in the first book you're following multiple perspectives. I'm just going to read you the summary from Goodreads because it's been that long since I read it that I can't really remember. Logan Ninefingers, infamous barbarian, has finally run out of luck. Caught in one feud too many, he's on the verge of becoming a dead barbarian, leaving nothing behind him but bad songs, dead friends, and a lot of happy enemies. Nobleman Captain Jezel Dan Luther, dashing officer and a paragon of selfishness, has nothing more dangerous in mind than fleecing his friends at cards and dreaming of glory in the fencing circle. But war is brewing, and on the battlefields of the frozen north they fight altogether bloodier rules. Inquisitor Glockter, cripple turned torturer, would like nothing better than to see Jezel come home in a box, but then Glockter hates everyone. Cutting treason out of the Union, one confession at a time, leaves little room for friendship. His latest trail of corpses may lead him right to the rotten heart of government, if he can stay alive long enough to follow it. Enter the wizard Bayaz, a bold old man with a terrible temper and a pathetic assistant. He could be the first of the Magi. He could be a spectacular fraud, but whatever he is, he's about to make the lives of Logan, Jezel, and Glockter a whole lot more difficult. Murderous conspiracies rise to the surface, old scores are ready to be settled, and the line between hero and villain is sharp enough to draw blood. It's just amazing. I have to recommend the first book, bearing in mind I never used to read a lot of like adult fantasy, and I think that was probably one of my first experiences into it, and I really like it. Like, the world building is incredible. I really like the character development within it, and I really like how even Glockter, who is a bit of a dick, is described. Like, the more you go on and the more you read it and the more you experience like what Glockter's gone through as well, you kind of feel for him a little bit, but that's just me. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to finish this trilogy really soon. I hope I can. I've read the first book like twice now, so kind of just need to get past the first book, finish the second book, and then get on to this one. We'll see how that goes. Another book that has been sat on my shelves, and I'm a little bit sad to admit that this is the first book that I bought in this series, and that is Winter by Marissa Meyer. So I remember being in Waterstones many years ago and seeing this on the buy one get one half price table, or the buy two get one free table. I can't remember how far away that was, but it was a long time. And I remember seeing this and reading the back and being like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. But I was young and I ignored the fact that there are 3 other books in this series, didn't I? So I bought this, started reading it, and then I went, oh, who are all these characters? Googled it and went, oh, there's 3 books in front of this. And I was young at the time, so I didn't have a lot of book money. So yeah, this book sat on my shelf for a good while before I even bought the first book. So I've read the first book, I've read the second book, I haven't started the third book. Obviously I haven't read the 4th book either, but I thought I'd just hold up the 4th book and show you this one, because this one has actually been sat on my shelf the longest out of any of the series. So, you know, there's this. The first book is following a young girl called Cinder. Pretty much in every book we follow a different, like, princess, but redone. So in the first one we're following Cinder and she's a cyborg, but it's still the standard story. It's her, she lives with her stepmother, she lives with 2 sisters, except the difference is, 1, obviously she is a cyborg, and 2, there is a disease going round and one of the sisters catches it, and I don't really know how much else I can say without spoiling that book. I don't remember what's on the cover of that, but yeah, I really liked it. Really enjoyed the first one, quite enjoyed the second one. Second one we're following Scarlet, as in Red Riding Hood, and that one she is essentially living on a farm with her grandmother and they get robbed or something, and I can't remember how much I can say about him because some of that is spoiler. The third one we're following Cress, so Rapunzel, and then this one Winter, which is Snow White, so that's quite interesting. I'm looking forward to actually finally finishing off that series. It has been a long time coming. I remember flying through the first book and possibly the second book, but I just never picked up the third book for whatever reason. I don't know. I literally don't know, so there's that. The second to last book is The Killing Order by James Dashner. So I have read all of the Maze Runner, part of the Scorch Trials, again, not read the 3rd and the 4th books. I really quite enjoyed the Maze Runner, actually, more than I thought I would. I really like the idea of them just being dropped in this random place. I love the twists and the turns and like what's real, what's not, who's telling the truth, who's not, because obviously in the Scorch Trials we are following on from the first book and it's just constantly more and more and more like confusing, and I love the idea and being introduced to the world both inside the maze and the relationships that these kids had with each other. That is quite interesting, and like the weird creatures that are outside their little safe haveny bit. That was quite interesting. So I am hoping that one day I'll actually manage to finish the whole Blinking series. Hopefully I can, and hopefully I can do it soon. So there's another one. And the last book on this list of shame for me is Inheritance by Christopher Paolini. As you can see, this book looks brand spanking new. It hasn't been read, hasn't been touched. However, if you compare that with the 3rd book, which is Brisinger, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, like how battered this whole thing is. It's even got like marks on the back. Ugh. And it's bloody creased as well. I didn't even realise that. That would have been from one of the times I've read it. So, oh yeah, I think I might have sat on it, which is great. Hey, if anyone knows where I could get all of them in hardback, again, that'd be great, because I'll probably just rebuy them. But look, it's even got that, because it got left with a bookmark in for so long, but I love it, so that's the main thing. Does anyone have like those books that, even though they're absolutely completely battered like this, or maybe worse, they still love? Like, everyone has those books. Like, as much as we have like our collections of like beautiful special editions and stuff, you all must have books that are just battered to high heck. But yeah, so one day I'd love for someone to do like a redo of this whole series and redesign all the covers, because I love these books. But yes, so this is the 4th and final book in the Eragon Quartet. That is 4 books, isn't it? So I have read Eragon, I have read Eldest, both of which multiple times. I've always got like halfway or just over halfway through Brisinger, and I've never read Inheritance, like at all. And every time I keep trying, I try to reread Eragon. I reread Eragon, I trudge through Eldest because there is a lot of travel in Eldest, and then I get to Brisinger, and again I'm pretty sure that's the one with more travel in it as well. And I never get to this one, and I don't know why. I'm really, I just want to read this. I want to figure out how the whole story ends. Like, I love this series. This is probably one of my all-time favourite series, even though I've never finished it. Can that be a thing? I think it might be. But yeah, Inheritance is the final book on that list. So there you go. There are 13 books on my TBR veteran list, like the oldest of the old on my list. Obviously I have so many unread books on my TBR. If you have seen my TBR video, I'll link it up here if you haven't. That has a full breakdown of like all the books that I've currently got on these shelves and what I've read and what I haven't. I have read under 50%, like well under 50% of the books on my shelves, but these are the ones that have been set on my shelf for many a year that I just need to get to, if I'm honest. And one day I'm sure I will, because I just need to. especially like with Eragon. I definitely need to see how that ends. I want to see how the Lunar Chronicles ends. I want to start King of Scars. I want to read that duology. All of these things, I just keep finding new books to read, and people need to just put a pause on the publishing section, the publishing sector right now, so I can just catch up on all my books and then I can start reading the brand new ones that come out. I don't think it's possible, but one can always hope. But yes, that is everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really supports me and my channel. Let me know in the comments down below, have you got any TBR vets? What are your TBR vets? Like, obviously I haven't included any books I've hauled in the past year and a bit. I haven't included any books that are like backlisted. So like, I've got books on these shelves that were obviously published many years ago, but I haven't included them because I've only recently hauled them. There are loads, so let me know down below what your TBR vets are and how long your longest TBR vet has been on your shelf. I think my longest is possibly Inheritance, and I can't even remember when that was actually brought out, but I remember still being in school, so that's a bit worrying. And if you want to see more of me and see whether I actually do eventually read these books, please consider subscribing down below and ringing that notification bell so you get notified every single time I upload new content. I currently upload on a Wednesday and on a Sunday, so be sure to stick around if you want to see more bookish content from me, more shameful lists, maybe more successful lists. We will find out in the future. But that is everything from me today, guys. I really hope you're having an amazing day, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye!